Emily had always believed that kindness could soften even the hardest hearts. When she and her 10-year-old son, Noah, moved into a quiet suburban neighborhood after the loss of her husband, she hoped they could finally find peace. Their small blue house stood beside a beautiful white home owned by the Harper family. From the outside, they looked perfect. David Harper was a respected businessman, his wife Claire always smiled politely, and their teenage son Ethan rarely spoke but never caused trouble. On the first evening, Claire knocked on Emily's door carrying a homemade apple pie. "Welcome to the neighborhood," she said warmly. "If you ever need anything, we're right next door." Emily smiled gratefully. "Thank you. That's incredibly kind." For the next few weeks, the Harpers seemed like the ideal neighbors. Claire often watered Emily's flowers whenever she worked late. David shoveled snow from her driveway without being asked. Ethan even helped Noah repair his broken bicycle. Emily thought they had found the perfect friends. But little things slowly began to feel strange. Every night, around exactly 11 p.m., Noah heard loud thumping sounds coming from the Harper house. Whenever Emily asked Claire about it, she laughed nervously. "Oh, David likes working out in the basement." One afternoon, Noah's soccer ball accidentally rolled into the Harpers' backyard. As he climbed the fence to retrieve it, he froze. Ethan stood near the basement window staring at him with empty eyes. "Don't come back here," Ethan whispered. Before Noah could ask why, David suddenly appeared. "There you are," he said with an unusually cheerful smile. "Here's your ball." He gently handed it over while placing one firm hand on Ethan's shoulder. Ethan immediately lowered his head. That night Noah couldn't sleep. "Mom," he whispered, "I think Ethan is scared." Emily wanted to believe he was imagining things, yet something about Ethan's expression stayed in her mind. Days later, Emily noticed bruises on Ethan's wrist while he helped carry groceries. "What happened?" she asked softly. Ethan quickly pulled down his sleeve. "I fell." Before Emily could say another word, David appeared behind him. "Ethan is clumsy," David said with a smile that somehow felt cold. Emily nodded, but her heart felt uneasy. Instead of judging or accusing anyone, she decided to simply be kind. She baked chocolate cookies and invited Ethan over one Saturday afternoon. At first David refused. "Ethan has homework." But Claire quietly interrupted. "It'll only be for an hour." When Ethan entered Emily's kitchen, he barely spoke. Noah showed him his video games while Emily served cookies and hot chocolate. For the first time, Ethan smiled. It was a tiny smile, but it looked genuine. As the afternoon ended, Emily handed Ethan a small container of cookies. "These are for you." His eyes filled with tears. "No one has ever baked something just for me." Emily's heart ached. Something was terribly wrong. Over the following weeks, Ethan visited more often. Slowly he began opening up. He loved drawing birds because they represented freedom. He dreamed of becoming a wildlife photographer. He hated loud noises. Most importantly, he seemed terrified whenever his father called. One rainy evening Ethan appeared at Emily's front door soaked from head to toe. I can't stay home tonight." Emily immediately invited him inside. "What happened?" Ethan looked toward the window. "My father gets angry for no reason." Emily gently placed a blanket around his shoulders. "You can tell me." After several silent minutes, Ethan finally whispered the words that changed everything. "My father isn't normal." Emily listened without interrupting. "He enjoys hurting people," Ethan continued. "Not always physically. Sometimes he hurts animals. Sometimes he manipulates people just to watch them cry. He pretends to be kind so nobody believes us." Emily felt a chill run through her body. "What about your mother?" "She's afraid of him." Emily realized Claire's nervous smiles suddenly made sense. She contacted local authorities, but without evidence there was little they could do. Instead of giving up, Emily focused on protecting Ethan and Claire with patience and compassion. She encouraged Claire to visit more often for tea. At first Claire barely spoke. Then one afternoon she suddenly burst into tears. "I don't know how to leave." Emily gently held her hand. "You don't have to do this alone." For the first time in years, Claire admitted the truth. David had controlled every part of their lives. He monitored phones, isolated them from friends, manipulated neighbors, and constantly threatened them. His calm public image made everyone think he was a wonderful husband. Emily helped Claire secretly connect with a domestic violence support organization. Together they created a careful safety plan. Weeks later, David returned home unexpectedly while Claire was packing important documents. His face twisted with rage. Before he could react, police officers arrived. Claire had finally found the courage to report years of abuse using recordings, photographs, and evidence she had secretly collected with Emily's encouragement. David was arrested without resistance, still wearing the same polite smile he showed the neighborhood every day. Many neighbors couldn't believe it. "David?" one asked. "He was always so friendly." Emily quietly replied, "Sometimes the kindest faces hide the darkest secrets." The months that followed were difficult. Claire and Ethan began rebuilding their lives. Healing was slow. Trust didn't return overnight. Emily never pushed them. Instead, she simply remained present. She invited them for dinner every Sunday. She attended Ethan's first photography exhibition at school. She celebrated Claire when she found a new job. Each small act reminded them that genuine kindness asks for nothing in return. One spring morning Ethan knocked on Emily's door carrying a framed photograph. It showed two birds flying freely above a sunrise. "I took this myself," he said proudly. "It's beautiful. I wanted you to have it." Emily smiled. "What made you choose this picture?" Ethan looked toward the bright sky. "Because you taught me that even after the darkest night, people can still fly." Years later, the White House next door belonged to another family filled with laughter. The frightening memories slowly faded, but the lessons remained. People often assumed kindness meant being naive. Emily had learned something different. Real kindness was not ignoring danger. It was noticing pain others couldn't see. It was listening without judgment. It was believing someone who had forgotten how to hope. And sometimes, the greatest act of kindness wasn't rescuing someone yourself. It was standing beside them until they found the courage to rescue themselves. Whenever Emily looked at Ethan's photograph hanging in her living room, she remembered that evil can hide behind charming smiles, but compassion has a quiet strength that fear can never destroy. The family next door had hidden a psychopath, but they had also hidden two people desperately waiting for someone to notice their silent cries for help. One neighbor's simple kindness became the light that guided them out of years of darkness and into a future where hope, freedom, and love finally had room to grow.